Meditation, despite its growing popularity in the West, is still deeply misunderstood by many who live immersed in a materialistic culture. To the Western eye, used to seeking immediate results, external solutions, and rational explanations for everything, meditation can seem strange, even useless. This reaction stems from centuries of logical, scientific, and analytical thinking that shaped the Western mindset into automatically viewing the world through the lens of matter and concrete action. In this context, practices involving inner silence, objectless contemplation, or the simple observation of thoughts are mistaken for passivity, a waste of time, or worse, lumped in with productivity techniques like concentration or mental control. The mistake begins when we try to understand meditation the same way we understand a mathematical equation or a philosophical system, as something to be mastered or grasped through effort and reasoning. But meditation doesn't fit into those categories. It's not about thinking better, nor is it a means to reach external goals, much less a form of escape from reality. Meditation is a path to directly perceive reality as it is, free from the filters of a conditioned mind, and this challenges everything the West values: control, logic, and progress. Modern man lives under a constant avalanche of information, concepts, theories, opinions, and stimuli. Each day, we are pressured to learn more, master new skills, understand complex ideas, and keep up in a world that never slows down. This frantic race for knowledge has created a culture where a person's value is measured by how much they know, how productive they are, and how much they can absorb from the world around them, not by who they are at their core. But here lies the cruel paradox. The more this modern man learns, the noisier his mind becomes. He starts living with an overload of data, thoughts about the future, comparisons with others, and endless reflections on everything he must understand. This mental state, filled with noise and demands, is profoundly incompatible with the silence necessary for meditation. Because meditating is not about adding more knowledge to the brain, it's about emptying it. For millennia, meditation was a well-kept secret. It wasn't taught openly, discussed publicly, or made accessible to just anyone. It was knowledge reserved for initiates, disciples who went through years of preparation. Masters like Lao Tzu, in the quiet mountains of China, spoke of a path that could not be named, and only the most attentive could grasp what he wasn't saying. Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, withdrew from the world to discover a truth that, for a long time, was passed down only orally, from master to disciple, in a closed and profound cycle. Patanjali, in ancient India, structured the teachings of yoga and meditation into aphorisms that required direct guidance to be fully understood. All of them, and many others, knew this was knowledge not to be thrown to the wind. It was a rare jewel that had to be protected. But time moved on. Today, that same wisdom, once veiled in tradition and mystery, is available to anyone. Just one click, one video, one spark of desire is enough. The wisdom once reserved for the few now spreads across the world like a gentle breeze. Meditation is no longer a privilege. It has become a right, a choice. It's found in schools, hospitals, and homes. It's in books, apps, and on social media. It's never been easier to find the path inward. All it takes is the willingness to take the first step. But there's a real risk in this widespread dissemination of meditation when it happens without a deep understanding of what it truly means, or the impact it can have on an individual's life. When the word becomes trivialized, it risks being confused with superficial or aesthetic practices, draining it of its true purpose. Meditation can easily become just a pretty word, used in empty speeches by those wanting to seem elevated but who never dive into the core of the experience. And when that happens, its transformative power is lost, the power to silence, awaken, and connect a human being with their own presence. What meditation is not. Meditation is not concentration. In the West, it's very common to confuse meditation with practices like concentration or philosophy. But the truth is, these three experiences are fundamentally different, even if they might seem similar at first, because they all deal with the mind. Concentration is a focusing exercise. It involves directing all attention to a single point. It could be the breath, a candle flame, an image, or even a task. The goal of concentration is to keep the mind steady and undistracted. It's a useful tool, yes, but it still operates within the realm of effort and duality. There is someone focusing on something. Concentration is incredibly useful in specific situations, like passing exams or doing scientific analysis, where focused attention and mental effort are essential. However, when it comes to deeply experiencing life, concentration loses its effectiveness because life asks for something else, full presence, not rational comprehension. Most people find it easy to observe the external world, nature, the ocean, the people around them, with attention. But few can simply contemplate life as it is, without imposing judgments, labels, or concepts. That pure contemplation, without mental interference, is what allows us to experience reality in its essence, something that concentration alone cannot achieve. Today, terms like mindfulness are often used as synonyms for meditation, and while they are connected, they're not the same thing. Mindfulness is a tool, a technique, a specific way of directing awareness to the present moment without judgment. It's like learning to observe your thoughts, emotions, and sensations with curiosity, like watching clouds drift across the sky. But meditation is something broader. It's not limited to observation. It's a state of being in which there's no longer a separation between the observer and the observed. Mindfulness can be a path to meditation, but it's not the final destination. While mindfulness can be practiced while washing dishes, walking, or eating, meditation goes beyond action. It happens when the doing stops, and only being remains. One is training the mind to be present. The other is a silent plunge into the now, where there's no technique, no effort, only presence. Meditation is not philosophy. Philosophy seeks to understand reality through analysis, reasoning, and logical construction. It questions the world, explores meanings, and builds systems of thought. Philosophy operates with words, concepts, and arguments. It doesn't silence the mind. On the contrary, it stimulates, challenges, and expands it. Those who philosophize without making room for a lighter life often get lost in their own thoughts, deceived by the belief that life is how it is thought, not how it is. Thoughts are symbols, tools we use to try to describe reality, but they will never be reality itself. When we talk about happiness, for example, we think we know what it is, but we're only describing a feeling, not its true deep meaning. That's why very intelligent and overly rational philosophers often fall into deep states of sadness, because they realize life isn't as it should be according to their ideas. It simply is as it is. Philosophizing is not the same as living well. It's just attempting to interpret things as they seem to be. And this attempt can become a mental prison that distances us from the real and simple experience of life. Unlike focusing on something or philosophizing about it, meditation doesn't require better thinking or any mental effort at all. Mastering science and philosophy is incredibly valuable. These fields expand our understanding, open doors to comprehending the world, developing technology, creating systems of thought, and questioning what surrounds us. Science provides tools to uncover natural laws, while philosophy encourages deep reflection on meaning, ethics, and existence. But as powerful as they are, neither can solve the fundamental issue of existence. That's because existence isn't something that can be resolved with theories or equations. It's not a problem to be solved rationally. Existence is an experience, something to be lived, felt in the body, perceived in silence and in the presence of the moment. No scientific formula, no matter how advanced, can grasp the depth of simply being alive. No philosophical argument, no matter how brilliant, can replace direct contact with the present. Existence escapes the domain of thought and enters the realm of being. And it's precisely this living experience, beyond the mind, that science and philosophy, as essential as they are, cannot fully reach. Meditation doesn't aim to solve problems or offer solutions. It simply opens up space to feel life in its true essence, free of illusions and masks. To meditate is to witness. It is to be present without effort, without searching for anything, without trying to understand or change what is happening. Meditation is observing thoughts without clinging to them. It's perceiving the body, the breath, the moment, without interfering. While concentration requires effort and philosophy requires intellect, meditation requires surrender. It begins when thinking stops, when there's no more attempt to understand or control. And that's exactly why it's so difficult for the Western mind, trained to always do something. Meditation is the opposite of everything we've been taught to value. It's not doing, it's being. The impossibility of conceptualization, the absence of thought. One of the biggest misconceptions many people have when approaching meditation is believing they can understand it through thought. They read books, watch lectures, listen to masters, and with a mind full of ideas, try to grasp what meditation is as if it were just another philosophical concept to be solved. But meditation cannot be attained through the rational mind because it exists beyond thought. The human mind has an almost automatic tendency to want to name, label, and frame everything into concepts. That's how it feels safe, by controlling what seems undefined. But with meditation, this approach simply fails, because meditation is not a concept that can be captured by words. It cannot be explained with a precise definition, nor reduced to a technique or a set of steps. Every attempt to conceptualize meditation turns it into something it is not, an idea to be discussed, a method to be performed, a goal to be reached. And meditation, in its essence, is none of these things. It does not belong to the realm of intellect, explanation, or mental understanding. It is pure presence. It is the moment fully lived, without the filter of thought. It is the stillness that exists when no one is trying to understand, just someone simply being. That is why meditation cannot be described. It can only be experienced. When you try to talk about it, you are already outside of it. It's like trying to describe the sound of silence. Any sound you use is no longer silence. Meditation is not something you do. It is something you become. It does not reveal itself to those who seek it with words, but to those who embrace it with surrender. Being meditation is dropping all images, concepts, ideas, including the idea of meditating. It is when no one is left observing, nor anything being observed, just being. Simple, direct, whole. Meditation has no practical use. Meditation is not something you do to get a result or to stop something. It simply is. There is no action to be performed because, in truth, you already are meditation. It has no practical use in the conventional sense. It is not a tool to achieve something external, but a manifestation of your own being, a natural state of presence and awareness that transcends any purpose. Many people come to meditation seeking something: peace, focus, productivity, emotional control, or even better performance in their work and relationships. This search for results is a direct reflection of Western logic, where everything must have practical utility, measurable benefit, or return. But true meditation does not follow this logic. It is not a tool to make you more efficient or a shortcut to success. Meditation will not make you earn more money, give you status, or turn you into someone society considers better. And that's precisely where it becomes so challenging, because it promises nothing. It is not a means to an end, but an end in itself. When you sit down to meditate, there is no guarantee you will leave calmer, more productive, or happier. What really happens is something much deeper. You begin to connect with what you truly are, beyond all masks, achievements, desires, and stories the world taught you to tell about yourself. But this connection has no utility in the traditional sense. It cannot be sold, displayed, or used as social currency. Meditation does not improve the life society says is good. It shows you that life might never have been real, that chasing goals, titles, recognition is just another layer of illusion. And by realizing this, it's not that you become someone better. You simply stop trying to be someone. And for the first time, you begin just to be. Meditation is not love. but it is like love. And this comparison is deeper than it seems at first glance, because both love and meditation cannot be accurately described or controlled through words or concepts. You can study love, hear songs about it, read poems and theories trying to explain it, but none of that is loving. Real love happens when you are present, vulnerable, surrendered. It is a direct, alive experience that escapes the control of the rational mind. The same goes for meditation. You can talk about it, listen to masters describe it, read sacred books, or attend retreats, but that still isn't meditating. Meditation only happens when you are fully in the moment, not trying to achieve anything, not seeking to understand, just being. Just as you don't say, "I will love to become a better person," you also don't say, "I will meditate to be more productive." Love and meditation are not means to something. They are ends in themselves. More than that, they are ways of existence. When you love, there is no distance between you and the other. There is union. When you meditate, there is no separation between you and the present. There is fusion. And neither experience can be taught in words. Just as no one can teach you to love, no one can teach you to meditate in the purest sense. You can only be. You can only allow. You can only open yourself to the moment without defense, effort, or expectation. And then, love happens. Meditation happens. And the most beautiful thing is that even though they are not the same, both touch in the invisible. They are experiences that only make sense when lived. Osho said, "You cannot practice meditation. You can only be in meditation. It's like love. You don't do it. You surrender to it." The hardest part of meditation is sitting in stillness and seeking nothing. We have been taught from an early age that standing still is wasting time, that not thinking is ignorance, that not producing is failure. Modern man has become a collector of ideas, but lost the ability to just be. And it is precisely this loss that makes silence so frightening and at the same time so essential. Because in silence, there are no achievements, no performance. There is only presence. And presence, for a person trained to accumulate, is the hardest of all states. Watching a video about meditation, listening to a master speak, or consuming explanatory content can be interesting, spark curiosity, or bring a sense of understanding. But deep down, all this is useless if you don't sit down, if you don't quiet yourself, if you don't dive within. Because the only real way to understand meditation is by meditating. No amount of information, no matter how deep or well-crafted, can replace the direct experience of silence. It's like watching a documentary about the ocean without ever having dived in. You can learn the names of fish, types of currents, tide phenomena, but you will never know what it is to feel the vast waters touching your skin, enveloping your whole body. With meditation, it is the same. Another great myth, cultivated since ancient times, is that meditation is a rigid practice surrounded by rituals, exact postures, and millennial traditions. Sitting cross-legged, usually in the lotus position, keeping the spine straight, placing hands in specific mudras. The truth that many silent masters have taught without saying a word is simple. There is no right or wrong position to meditate. It doesn't matter if you are lying down, walking, sitting in a chair, or watching the sky through a window. What really matters is not the shape your body takes, nor the tradition you follow, but the state of presence you cultivate. Meditating is like seeking an inner silence amid the noise of the world, and that silence can be found both in the temple and in the subway, both at the top of a mountain and inside your messy room. Meditation doesn't demand aesthetics, but intention. The outer form is just the vehicle. What counts is the destination, the meeting with yourself. True silence does not arise from the absence of noises around you, but from the stillness you cultivate inside your own mind. The world may be in chaos, the city may scream, people may talk non-stop, yet inside you, there can be a serene, untouched space, like a lake undisturbed by the wind. That is the secret. What silence is not the outer world, it is you. It is your mind that stops chasing thoughts, judgments, memories, and expectations. And the more you try to trap the experience in a fixed form, in a concept, the more it escapes. Because everything labeled loses its essence. When you define what meditation is, what peace is, what awareness is, you risk seeing only the label, not what it truly is, what is pure, alive, real. Form, however beautiful it seems, is only a map, and those who cling to the map may forget to look at the path ahead. The experience is not what they say it is, nor what you think it is. It is what it is, and it can only be perceived when you let go of everything. While you only watch, reflect, or consume content about meditation, you are on the outside. You are still on the surface, inside the mind. Meditation happens when you abandon all that, when you stop, stay silent, and simply are. There are no shortcuts, no substitutes, no secrets hidden in words. What exists is presence, and this presence can only be found when you stop seeking it intellectually. You will only understand what meditation is at the moment you stop trying to understand it. Because true meditation does not happen to someone who meditates, but to the one who becomes the state of meditation itself, a living, silent, effortless presence. This does not arise from methods, nor techniques, nor attempts to achieve something. It arises when you surrender completely to the now, without wanting to understand, without expecting to feel something specific, without seeking any kind of result, just being, fully. When you dive into meditation with joy, not as someone who wants to overcome something, show something, but simply be, it will happen. That is why it is more common for it to happen with those who are not trapped by rules. Priests, monks, saints are just titles that say nothing about human essence. All these names belong to the ego, to a persona they invent, which they judge as superior. But meditation is not for superior beings. Joy, authentic life experiences, human essence belong to the common, to nature. There is nothing extraordinary. See meditation more like a dance, where what matters is to dance. The end is the dance itself, the joy of being who you are, without external labels. Don't see meditation as a rigid ritual tied to some ancient tradition. Like a relaxed dance, it can happen anywhere, even in a temple. But the temple can be just a space you chose or the whole world. Becoming a dancer, becoming a meditator, being meditation itself, the place stops mattering. What matters is that you participate in life with presence, silently, wholly. And when that moment comes, something profound happens. The search stops, questions disappear, not because they were answered, but because they simply no longer make sense. You no longer need to question or doubt, because doubts dissolve in the stillness of being. There is no one inside trying to control or interpret. There is only presence. There is only now. And in this absolute now, you realize meditation was never outside of you. It has always been what you are, when you stop trying to be anything else.